So today, I'll be taking you all to a journey through space, and we'll touch on the concept of alien life. An idea so fascinating, we have spent centuries and gotten almost nowhere. So, let's start by thinking about how big this universe really is. When we look up at the night sky, we see small dots which are actually really big stars. So, to actually familiarize ourselves with the vastness of space, let's look at something local, something essential, something we see every day, the sun. Seems pretty big, seems pretty far away, right? Well, yeah, it is 93 million miles away to be exact. This distance, I don't think any human can actually ever comprehend, because this distance is bigger than any drive or any flight humans have ever been on. So let's scale it down. Let's assume the sun is the size of a basketball, right? So in that scale, the Earth is 90 feet away from the sun and the size of a sprinkle on an ice cream. And our biggest planet in the solar system, Jupiter, is around 400 feet away and the size of a marble. And now let's look at the very edge of the solar system, the planet Neptune. It's as big as a grain of sand, around half a mile from that basketball sun. So let's zoom out. We now have a solar system 1 mile in diameter, and there's almost nothing except a marble, a basketball, which is our sun, and a few grains of sand and sprinkles. So, I mean, that seems pretty lonely, right? Imagine like in a 1 mile circle, there's nothing except a few sprinkles, a grain of sand, and a marble. But that's how big the universe really is. At least that should give you some idea of how big the universe really is. But now if we zoom out outside the sun and look at the closest star to us, to the sun, Proxima Centauri, it's 4.2 light years away. What's a light year? A light year is the distance light takes to travel in 1 year. For reference, it takes 8 minutes for light to get from the sun to the earth. So imagine light, the fastest thing in the universe, taking 4.2 years from the sun to reach the nearest star. Now, we bring it back to our basketball example. If, say, the sun, the basketball, is right here at Rice University, that closest star is going to be somewhere in Madrid, Spain. Now imagine absolutely nothing except a marble, a grain of sand, and some sprinkles from Houston to Spain. Seems pretty empty. A little lonely, doesn't it? But that's how vast space really is. And that brings us to the question of the night. Is there alien life in space? So to understand alien life, we start off looking outside our solar system for now. We'll touch on the solar system later on, but outside of the solar system, there are also other systems which have stars and planets revolving around them. These planets are called exoplanets, and they have been studied quite extensively. Especially like in 2009, NASA sent a telescope. It measured, I think, around 150,000 stars and saw millions of exoplanets in them. And the most important thing it discovered was this idea of the Goldilocks zone, where planets are the perfect amount of distance away from the star that it can host life. It's not too hot that it will burn up, not too far that it will freeze out. The perfect temperature which can host alien life. So let's start looking at those, right? But how do we find alien life on those planets? I think to answer that, we have to really consider what alien life really is. To help us answer that, there's a scale known as the Kardashev scale. I'll give you a brief overview of that. It has basically 3 types of civilization. Type 1 is the alien civilization which has harnessed the power of its planet. So that's like essentially if humans exhausted every fossil fuel on the planet and we are, in shambles. We are not quite there yet, but we are obviously getting there. So that's a type 1 civilization. Type 2 is the civilization that has harnessed the energy of its star. So for us, it's the sun. To be able to do something like this, you have to be extremely technologically advanced, somewhere we cannot even dream of right now. An example of how to do it might be building this mega structure called the Dyson sphere, which is essentially a huge solar panel around the sun, so it's constantly getting the energy from the sun, and this civilization uses it for their own purposes, right? So that's type 2. For type 3, we have something really beyond our imagination, something I don't think I've ever seen in even sci-fi movies, which is controlling a civilization that controls their own galaxy. So us controlling the whole Milky Way, every star, every planet, everything. So let's figure out how we can find alien life now that we have some reference on how big the universe is and how advanced alien life can be. So for a type 2 or type 3 civilization, right, we can find them, but isn't it more likely they can find us? Because they are so technologically advanced, they have control over so much more area than we do. Like type 3, they have control over their own galaxy and they're looking outside their own galaxy. So I think it's safe to assume, a little sad, but it's safe to assume that type 2 or type 3 civilizations don't really exist right now. Because if they were, they would have found us, but they haven't, so you have to move on past that. So what we are looking for is essentially an alien civilization around same level of advancement as us, or less than that, which poses a challenge. Because right now, we can send messages and signals just barely outside the solar system. So that excludes all possibility of discovering alien life outside the solar system, outside our galaxy. So we are left with looking at our own solar system, the 7 planets that we know of. So yeah, but hope is not lost. There's some good news. Alien life need not to be the typical Area 51 conspiracy images you see like every few years, like, oh, this is this UFO landed, crashed, and something similar to a human, right? So these alien life can be as small as a single cell organism. But how do we find that since it's so small, right? So scientists are trying. They have narrowed down a few possible locations inside our own solar system. Mars is, I'm sure most of you have heard of, the atmosphere of Mars is very close to that of Earth, right? So it's very likely there might be some organism living there. Then even outside planets, there are moons. Like, I know Earth only has one moon, but there are planets with multiple moons. Like Saturn, which has this moon called Europa, which is covered with ice. And it's said like below that ice is salt water, which is ideal for any organism to live. So yeah, some good news after some, very, for me, like, it's sad to see like there's no advanced alien life that we'll ever get to meet. So yeah, that's essentially how we can view alien life and how we should reason about finding alien life. And yeah, while these concepts may seem speculative, it is these concepts that keep our curiosity alive and allows us to explore, to discover, and better understand our universe. So remember that finding alien life is not a small task. It's going to take a long time. It's gonna take decades, centuries, millennials. I don't know. It's a long journey, a multi-generational journey, but we have to start somewhere. So we need to take that first step in this very long process so our children or their children can maybe meet some aliens. Right? Thank you.